Don in London, hello. Friday 13th, March 2009. Yes, March 13th, Friday 13th. My video is all about recovery from either addiction to substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol. My behaviour, trying to be perfect. A perfectaholic. Never so. And worked hard, workaholic. Played hard, playaholic. Relationshipaholic, you name it, any old holic. And the gift today is that most of those holicisms are more in balance, that is, on a daily basis, just for today. And what makes it possible is being part of a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for it, it never speaks. As leaders, there are none. Or there are trusted servants, as they are called, people who keep the organisation side working of the fellowship. And it's a fellowship of men and women. And the preamble shared at every meeting gives the game away completely. And it's very settling. It puts me into the moment now when I read it out. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes, and it certainly doesn't oppose or support my videos. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help others to recover, other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I'm stumbling over my words this morning, and I think I'm very tired. It's been a long week of things happening. Death of my sponsor on Monday, end of a relationship on the same day, and just trying to make sense of life and keep with a change in regime for my other maladies, type 1 diabetes and clinical depression. So it takes a lot out of me, and I'm doing my best, and it's progress, not perfection these days. So my video is all about recovery, as I said, and what helps me is going to meetings of AA. I went to 2 meetings yesterday, one at St. Philip's, just at the top of Earl's Court, and one at the, where was I? Park Walk. Forgot, Park Walk down the King's Road. And both meetings are called step meetings. The one at St. Philip's was step 6, all about defects of character and how to deal with them. And the one last night was all about step 12, the second half of it. How do we share the message and live as we can to the 12 steps of the action program of AA for individuals. So the basis is open, honest, willing and making progress. And step 3, which is the step 3 reads as this: made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And it's all about, I suppose, underpinning life with good conscience, or an understanding that there is a higher power that we can appeal to or exhort to or pray to, or just understand that we're not God and we're not the higher power, not even in our own lives. That as Shakespeare said, we are merely players and we're not the chief critic. All these things come from the AA books, so please don't think these are words which I've put together. I guess I've been around in AA long enough to be, I suppose, almost brainwashed. I've had my brain washed away, if you like, from the alcohol that used to be there, and now I have something else to contend with, sobriety on a daily basis. What helps is not only the meetings, which I think are essential for my recovery daily, is books like this, Daily Reflections, which 12 months, 12 steps. March is step 3, and I read out what it says for this day. So, a world of the Spirit. We have entered the world of the Spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. And that comes from AA's big book, page 84. Not sure which edition, probably the 4th. Could be the 4th. The word entered and the phrase entered into the world of spirit are very significant. They imply action, a beginning, getting into, a prerequisite to maintaining my spiritual growth, the spirit being the immaterial part of me. Barriers to my spiritual growth are self-centeredness and a materialistic focus on worldly things. Spirituality means devotion to spiritual instead of worldly things. It means obedience to God's will for me, or my good conscience, maybe. I don't see myself as the higher power with good conscience. It's just that everybody has a good or bad conscience. I understand spiritual things to be unconditional love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control and humility. Any time I allow selfishness, dishonesty and resentment and fear to be a part of me, I block out spiritual things. As I maintain my sobriety, growing spiritually becomes a lifelong process. My goal is spiritual growth, accepting that I'll never have spiritual perfection. And you know, I think a lot of people in the 70s and 80s were on a spiritual journey which was about controlling the spirit. Or maybe I'd misunderstood what they were about, but a lot of books were there empowering people with their spiritual progress, and maybe gave it a flavour of hierarchical status, that a person could be more spiritual than another person. And the gift is that when we understand that spiritual is seeing the moment of now just as it is, as clearly as we can, without so many denials and without so many filters, alcohol being a huge one for me, I get to the spiritual condition of now, the reality of now. And as some people say, spirituality is the ability to cope, just simply cope with what is going on in the day. And sometimes we feel that we may have a superior knowledge of what is spiritual, but in fact it is, well, maybe for me, I'm just saying it's a fact for me. Yeah, I've got to be careful here, because if I actually say, you know, your idea of spiritual is wrong, then I'm wrong too, because it's what we learn and come to understand as we go along this path of life. So I do concern myself with people who may feel they've got a better spiritual understanding than me. Actually, it's just a better understanding of the truth of now, hopefully, and they can inform me with their wisdom, and that's why I go to meetings, experience, strength and hope. Wisdom learned over the years by other people, so maybe I don't have to go through the same traumas, although it seems likely that whatever deficiencies there are in me, I need to deal with as life offers the experience. And that's what happened last night. I was listening very carefully to what somebody was saying, and it was very clear to me that unless we experience life as 12 steps remain what they can be in a book rather than living steps. And the living steps for me mean that I have a framework to understand what is happening to me, what is happening with me spiritually in the moment of now, what is happening emotionally in the moment of now, and physically in the moment of now. So mind, body and breath, all about now. And that is about breathing in the world as it is and exhaling and understanding. So they are some of my thoughts on spiritual, but it's not the only way. You know, we have to make up our own minds how these things go. And as Bill sees it, I refer to this one quite often. I just read them out linearly if they feel appropriate and I have the time. It says here on page 46, true ambition and false. We have had a much keener look at ourselves and about those about us. We have seen that we were prodded by unreasonable fears or anxieties into making a life business of winning fame, money and what we thought was leadership. So false pride became the reverse side of that ruinous coin marked fear. We simply had to be number one people to cover up our deep-lying inferiorities. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the profound desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God, or good conscience. And I say good conscience because that's my touchstone, if you like, to my understanding of God, which is truth, love, and God works through people who have wisdom, or no wisdom, simply because we start off with no wisdom. We start with a blank page when we are new to the world, and then we learn by what we see and do. So we all have our life of hard knocks, the school of hard knocks, the university of life. The gift that I've learned in AA is there is no graduation day. We simply have another day to live our lives and be useful, to love and be loved. How hard is that? Well, it's blinking difficult for most people. So the spiritual path is simply progress and not perfection. And sometimes it's tormenting. And I've said it before, you know, the idea that serenity, when we ask for serenity in that serenity prayer, serenity is just living the good and the bad of life. So when I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Life is, as it is, a spiritual journey.